Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to Explore Your Shadow. I'm Anna, your host, and I have Kashish here again. We already spent like an hour talking off the camera now, so we're gonna have to revise everything we talked about. And today's subject is going to be Tantra. And I actually want to listen to you more than be blabbering around Tantra myself, because we finally want to hear what Tantra is really about.
Sure. So, I'd like to begin by thanking you, Anna, for having me here once again.
I love
And
having you here, so thank you so much for coming in.
thank you to you too. And it's another very interesting topic, something which is again very close to my heart. Just on the onset of this discussion, I'd just like to state that I am myself just a student in the studies of the scriptures, the Eastern philosophy, the philosophy of Tantra and Mantra. Um, So if I make any kind of mistake somewhere, please forgive me. These are my views, my understanding of Tantra, of the knowledge around Tantra and various attributes. And I hope that I'm able to share the best and the most authentic information and understanding over here.
Yeah, I think authentic is what we're going to try to look for.
Sure, sure.
I think there's tons of misunderstanding about what Tantra is here in the West, and we have so many different schools of Tantra. I was like, honestly, I was looking at it now before we started our podcast, and I think I found around 30. And
Yeah.
they don't agree on things, and they're all different, and every single one of them has said that they know the right story and they have the truth and this is the most authentic thing ever. But I wonder, did we get it all wrong?
Get wrong in what sense?
I feel like us people here in the West, we like to simplify things. So
Okay.
if something is very, very complicated, we like to like bring it to like a basic thing, to basic knowledge, and then we just like whatever we don't understand, we're just like, okay, this is not important, obviously, because if it was important, then we would understand it. So we like to simplify things. And I also feel there's another thing that sexuality sells here. So we kind of made the main focus of Tantra. I think we made sexuality the main focus of Tantra. And it is getting a bit better though, because I remember in early 2000s, even 90s, like everybody at home, even my parents had the book called Kama Sutra at home. It was a part of
Yeah.
like a library that we would have, and nobody would look at it. It would just be like this taboo book that, oh my god, your parents have it. Nobody knew anything about it, but it was like a part of the
Yeah.
culture. So I
Yeah.
think we're getting better, but how better?
Uh-huh. So, before I begin, I'd like to just offer my obeisance to Lord Ganesha and also to the entire lineage of gurus and masters through which this knowledge of Tantra, Yoga, and mantras have flown through humanity. And I'd also offer my obeisance to Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati, the divine couple, the mother and father of this universe, through whom which this knowledge has emerged and has come down to this plane of existence. I bow down to them and now I'll begin. So, when we say, you've started with a very interesting question. Uh, Tantra is the word Tantra. Let's understand the meaning of what Tantra means. Tantra means simply a system, a
Hmm.
mechanism, right? So, when you have to understand a system and mechanism fully, you need to study it. And you need to study all the features of the mechanism, all the attributes of it. When you buy a smartphone, you don't just look at two or three attributes of the smartphone. You need to understand for maximizing its usage and for maximizing the benefits of that uh, particular instrument. You need to understand its functionality and all of its elements. And this is a similar thing that which we look at in Tantra. We try to understand the mechanics of different practices, of different ways of life, and different philosophies in Tantra. And Tantra has a many numerous ideologies and approaches. So Tantra does not is not just a one linear way of thought. It's a very composite, unique, and diverse form of thoughts coming together in unison. The thoughts may be different, the approaches may be different, but the goal is always one. It's like you have one destination, but there are different routes to reach that destination.
Right.
Whatever route, way, path suits you the best or me the best, our path would be unique to us. And that path would be correct. That path would be correct. There is no comparison. That is the beauty of Tantra. And that is the uniqueness in Tantra. Now,
Okay.
when you
That
say,
feels like that's why people maybe don't understand it, because it's almost elusive.
yeah, it may look elusive, but once you start studying it under the guidance of an able, well versed teacher, it can become all the more clear to us. And of course, there are various schools and institutes even available today who are continuing the study of Tantra in its old and unique, its actual form, not the perverted versions of Tantra that we see today. And Tantra, you will find it in other cultures too. Even in Buddhism, you will find Tantra. If you look at Tibetan Buddhism,
Yeah.
there are many deities. So there's a lot of influence. There's a lot of inference that the Tibetan Buddhism has taken from the original, the Hindu culture. Buddhism has also emerged from Hinduism itself, as we know, if you look at it
Yeah.
closely. So there also you will see in Vajrayana and Mahayana different sects of Buddhism, and then there are different deities. You will find Bhairava, deities which are there in Indic tantric scriptures and knowledge systems. You will find there too different forms of the goddess, Kurukulla, Tara, all those goddesses in different forms that you find even in Tibetan Buddhism. And there are various different practices, various different chantings, different rituals attributed to all of those forms. Similarly, here, even in the Indic culture, we see that there are different ways, and different ways, methodologies for each deity. And each path is unique and wonderful in its own way, right? And each path has its own study. That is why, because there are so many paths, to understand which path is most appropriate for you, you need to really study it. You need to really be available to it as a student. You have to, first and foremost, the approach has to be correct. If you approach it as a mere sense gratification subject, it will only offer you that.
Yeah.
Right? If I go to let's say if I go to a supermarket and I'm only looking for candies, it won't matter to me what other things are there, even if they are much better than candies. I will
And
only be
healthier.
reeling in candies. Yeah, I'll only be reeling in candies. But
Right.
when I know that a supermarket has so much to offer, it's not only about candies. Candies are a very minuscule part of it. Then it sets me on an exploration. And then I can actually redefine my approach, redefine my thought process, and then I can get the maximum benefit out of it. And that's where Tantra is, how it is. It's available to you. If you want to take up only the sexual aspect of it, it's only going to offer you that. But that's a very, very 0.0001% aspect of Tantra.
Yeah.
Sadly, people are stuck because sex sells easily.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. And I also think, speaking about the benefits of it, and if you only focus on the sexual part and you're coming
Yeah.
from a completely different culture, right? And you don't really have any understanding, and then you go just for that particular part of Tantra, are you even able to get benefits? Because you don't really understand it. And also, with a teacher that's really coming from the right place, would
Yeah,
he even offer you that?
yeah, yeah.
Right?
See, it's very important to also have that respect for the system of Tantra.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Most people in new age time don't even understand the value, the respect of the emergence of Tantra, from where it has emerged, this knowledge of Tantra, this conceptualization of Tantra through the great masters, the rishis, to the to none other than Shiva and Shakti themselves. It is
Mm-hmm.
believed that in all the tantric scriptures, if you pick up, they say that it has come down from those divine beings, from the divine forms of Shiva and Shakti.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Right? And you'll find a dialogue between the divine couple. It's a dialogue, it's a conversation. It's a very open-ended discussion and a very depth conversation going on, where Shakti is questioning Shiva and Shiva is then answering Shakti. Sometimes Shiva
Mm.
is questioning Shakti and Shakti is answering Shiva. That's the beauty of it. And out of their conversation, there are so many various hundreds of uh, knowledge systems that have sort of
Emerged.
emerged,
Yeah.
and that come together, they form the basis of Tantra. Different systems coming together. So many people don't even understand the respectable and the divine essence that this the scriptures, that the subject, the idea of Tantra begins from.
Yeah.
It is said that Tantra was given by Lord Shiva for the upliftment of humanity, because one day it is said in one of those ancient stories, it comes up as such that one day goddess Parvati was just witnessing and just thinking that what if the world there's going to be a time when humanity will struggle,
Mm-hmm.
and in those days and times humans need something where they are able to align with dharma, with karma, with all the beautiful aspects of life, and be able to understand and integrate them better instead of
Mm-hmm.
struggling with them, right? And emerge successfully. When they die peacefully. So when she questioned Lord Shiva, her husband, he said that, okay, uh, we will bless this world, I will bless this world with that knowledge that will help them sail through this world in the coming ages in time. And that's how further their conversations start, and all many things start to emerge. Different kinds of tantric scriptures and agamas, different systems, they emerge from their
Mm-hmm.
conversations. And it's not just the Shiva and Shakti have, the other deities also have their own tantras.
All
You know,
right.
remember I said that tantras are is a way of life. It's a system.
Yeah.
So if you approach Lord Vishnu if you approach the divine in the form of Vishnu, Vishnu has his own tantra.
Mm.
If you approach the goddess as Lakshmi, the wife of Vishnu, she has her own tantra. If you approach Brahma, who is said to be the creator in Indic philosophy, he has his own tantra. If you approach Saraswati, the wife of Brahma, she has her own tantra. And every tantra and system will bring out the best in you.
Right. So how would you know which to choose? You have to
Yeah. So that,
research.
yes, that's a good question. That is why a lineage, a system of guru comes into picture. A guru figure, many people have this wrong understanding that a guru or teacher is someone whom you have to be in conformity with. Conformance is different than having faith in the teacher.
Mm.
There are two different things. In a guru and shishya system, shishya meaning disciple, guru meaning the teacher, the guru is someone who removes ignorance and darkness. The word guru means the one who removes darkness. Gu means the remover, and
Mm.
ru means darkness.
Oh.
So when you conjoin these two letters, it forms the word guru, meaning the remover of darkness. What darkness are we talking about? The darkness of our own ignorance,
Ignorance. Yeah.
our own smallness, our own uh, senses. When we are under the control of our senses, our perception is completely obscured.
Yeah.
We do not understand who we are and what the world is about. We get
Yeah.
stuck up in small little, all useless stuff, right? So that's why the role and the beauty of a guru is that the guru helps the student, his disciple or her disciple, to cross this samsara meaning this world,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
world with ease, by making them so strong from within, by training them in a way that they learn to have a better say on their senses. Their mind becomes their friend, not their enemy, and their body becomes very robust and strong. So the guru will uplift you on all levels of your existence: body, mind, ego, intellect, memory, and then the last but not the least, your soul. All the seven layers of existence the guru will help you to cross through.
Right.
And in Tantra, because it's a very systematic approach towards a certain path that you are taking, that's why the guru is needed. The right guru, the appropriate guru, who can take you, who has, because the guru is someone who has done that rigor. That is why he or she is a guru in the
That's how
first
he
place.
knows. Or she.
Yes,
Yeah.
they have gone through that rigor, they have gone through that practice, and they have achieved, with all their intense practice, sadhana, that level where they can uh, bring out the best in others. A guru will always be someone who will walk the talk. Not even in the slightest, they will go right or left. They will walk the talk.
We talked about this a bit, and I think this works in every field of spirituality. If you haven't done the work,
Yeah,
you cannot teach others.
yeah, yeah.
You just can't.
Hmm.
This is even psychology or everything. Like I would
Yeah.
never allow people to get a degree in psychology if they haven't done the work either,
Yeah.
because you just cannot help someone if you don't know exactly how it felt while you were doing it.
Yes, very true. Very true.
Yeah.
So that's where the role of a guru comes into picture. And sometimes there's another aspect to it, which is also interesting. In Indic philosophy system, here we do not look at life as linear. We look at it as like a
Circular. Yeah.
cosmical egg,
Yeah.
an ever moving continuum. So considering that, we see that a particular deity or a practice you may have also picked up in previous lifetimes, and it continues with you. It continues with you. There have been many practitioners. If I talk about this system, many masters who, even at the time when they were just babies, they showed signs of some divine signs of intelligence of their selves. It's not to say that it's something to do with miracles only, but people could see it. Their mothers, their father, people around them could actually see that this child is not just a regular child.
It's different.
They're very different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as these masters they grew up in age and time, it started becoming more and more prominent of who they actually are. And they brought forth that knowledge, all that they had done through their previous janmas, births, it was manifesting in this life too. What they carried, all the knowledge, the practices, the result of the practice, the effect of the practices that they did in their previous lifetimes. And not just masters, even people. Uh, you might have heard stories or read stories about that. Somebody is just a child prodigy in music, even if they've not studied much of music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
happening?
There was tons here in the West that just
Hmm.
children that were like five,
Hmm.
6 years old,
Hmm.
and like Mozart was one of
Hmm.
them. He could just go to
Yes.
a theater at age 6. He comes home, and imagine this:
Yeah.
he writes down everything he heard,
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
instruments,
Yeah.
the entire
So
orchestra.
yeah, you see, so there have been many such people, and there are still many people, and there will always be such people who will showcase their abilities and talents and gifts beforehand, and which this applies also to the domain of the practice and study of tantra. Some people are naturally gifted, and how naturally they are somewhere they're carrying it through their previous lives too. We are not getting into a discussion of past lives right now, but I'm just stating a simple example that this is also a possibility in human life.
Of course,
Whether you believe it or not, that's up to you.
there
But
are many examples now. I know in the West we were fascinated with the theory of the past lives. So there was a lot. There's a lot of books actually, and you have even a person I know when he was 6 years old, and they were like driving through a village, and he was like, "Oh, look, here is where I lived in my past life." And he said to his parents like his name, where he lived, and they actually confirmed it. They found a person
Hmm.
with that name
Hmm.
and last name, and he also explained to them how he died. It was
Yeah.
all
Hmm.
correct.
Hmm.
Now he doesn't remember it anymore. So it
Hmm.
was only when he was like 6 or 7 that he had this informations
Hmm.
from his past life.
Yeah.
But and then with social, like with the culture, socialization, and everything, he just forgot.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So we see that, you already, as you stated this example, there's already such examples too.
Yeah,
Uh, of course, many people might not find it scientific enough, but it is what it is. You can't
it is what
deny
it
the
is.
existence of it, or you can't deny the this phenomena of life itself. This is all I can
Yeah.
say in this context.
Yeah. No, I know myself. Like I was born in a family where it
Yeah.
was a very Catholic family. Just like that, just didn't work for me immediately, and I always had this a connection to like ancient cultures. And I remember even when I was in school and we studied like ancient Sumer, I had immediate connection with it. I
Yeah.
can't even tell you. It felt like something hit me in my head, and I was like, I know this. Why do I know this? So absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
of course, the members of the scientific community might dispute it, but you know,
Yeah.
if we do have a soul, which the majority of the world kind of believes in that fact,
Hmm.
at least,
Hmm.
it would make sense for that soul to keep coming back to Earth.
It's
It just
even
makes
in
sense.
it's even in I think this is even in Buddhism, in Tibetan Buddhism as well, that this there is the cycle of life, and
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
you come through various lifetimes, and you take so many births, and sometimes you are this and sometimes you're that, and then you get the human body, all of that. So in a lot of Eastern philosophies, you'll find this understanding that life is not just linear, one path, one dead end life.
yeah.
It's cyclical
Makes no
in
sense,
nature.
even. Right? So what do you
Yeah,
live for?
yeah,
Why are you here?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I feel we're still not asking the right questions.
yeah.
We know so much about everything, and we don't know anything about anything in the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But this the thing that you were telling me about how the tantra system works, actually it makes so much sense to me. It makes incredible sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how did we manage to just minimize it to the sexuality part? How did that part become so famous? What do you think?
So there are many multiple factors to what I see it as. Of course, there is one element of a lot of colonization that happened in India and in the regions around India. Uh, the systems, all the old systems, the traditions of this land and the lands around India they were looked down upon as something as satanic, something
Oh,
as out of this world, something as not life friendly, something as
wow.
uncultured, so to say. So when this started happening over and over, and when the colonizers started to impose their way of life and demeaning the way of life of these lands, it pushed people to a point where they started rejecting their own traditions and culture,
Right.
denying it, and worse, even converting from it to others, where they were forcefully taught, trained, demeaned to change their culture and identity. And as a result, it changed so many things: the understanding, the way of approach, the way of integrating and practicing it. And gradually, all of it started deteriorating, and deteriorating in a way that it turned into a very silofied sort of an approach where, people started cherry picking one or two aspects of it.
It's almost like you westernized it.
Yeah,
That might
yeah,
be a good
probably.
word for it.
Yes,
It's
probably you
like,
could say
yeah,
that. Uh,
yeah.
Pick and choose of it just so that they could find some sort of relief out of it. So they started using it as an understanding, as a way, as a means to often as a means of escape,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
rather than a complete holistic way of life. And then with
Right.
time, as times move forward, then of course, uh, many things started getting commercialized.
Mm-hmm.
Commercialization itself was not bad, but it started getting convoluted to the extent that people started fixating on this element of sex, for that matter. And
And
because it's so primal, sex is so primal, that it started having a very crazy effect and impact on people.
mhm,
And there were those times and days when there was already the world around had gone through so much of subjugation, wars, and confusion, that people were looking out for an outlet.
yeah,
And now, where will you get the outlet? You will get through such, um, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
uh, hippie style culture,
Yes,
where
yes.
you just sort of free yourself, everything free, 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 everything
Everything
free.
is free. Yeah.
And to the extent that it becomes completely uh, disgusting and distasteful, and it loses its true essence. It is reduced to a very animalistic and carnal sort of an approach and practice.
You know what I just realized? It just came to my head now that us in the West, we are unable to combine sexuality and spirituality because it's a sin, right? So it can
Yeah.
be either or either. It cannot be together, right?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
sexuality has no place in Christianity, for example. It's a sin, right? Anything connected to it apart from making a baby is a sin. So I think what happened really is like you're either going to be spiritual, which I don't consider Christianity spiritual at all, but that's another thing. That's my opinion. Or you're going to be sexual. So you cannot work together in
Yeah.
our minds. And I think that gap is slightly getting better, but I think it's a deep trauma
Yeah. Yeah. Of
also.
course. Of course. That's again the denial of itself, of humanity, of who we
Yeah.
are. So when
Yeah.
you suppress and deny your own existence, imagine you are excluding a part of you, trying to push it away. What it is a sort of a separation trauma that you are inflicting on yourself and the people around you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're denying the existence of life itself, because that is from where life emerges.
Yes.
How can it be impure?
Yeah, exactly.
Tantra.
But I mean, we went so far as
Yeah.
Christians that we would baptize our children to remove sin from them because they would have original sin from the time of Adam and Eve because we took the apple from the serpent,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So our even we had this crazy idea that our babies are born pure and we need to purify them.
Yeah. So no, we the tantra systems and the Indic systems, they do not look upon uh, originally they don't look upon sexuality as something as a sin.
And they shouldn't.
It becomes a sin. It becomes when it gets into an excess, and when you use it for all your in a perverted way, in a life threatening way, or in a life disrespecting manner, that is
Yeah.
when it becomes a sin. Otherwise we do not know where it is looked down upon as sin. In fact, there are four pillars of life in tantra and Hindu systems. It is the first is dharma, because it's dharma is there. That's why you have this sense of understanding from right to left, left to right,
Yeah.
right, from healthy to unhealthy. That's why you exist. That's why there is an understanding that you are the daughter of your father, the daughter of your mother, the sister of your brother, right, the brother of your sister. That's why dharma is there.
Yeah.
Dharma is there. That's why there is a system and there's an order of things in society. That's why dharma is there. Dharma is about uh, all the ways and means of existing in a healthy way in manner in society. The
Yeah.
appropriate conduct of who you are, right? And it can also be unique to everyone. It's also very personalized. Dharma is not just about it's collective, it's also individual.
Yeah.
So when you
Yeah.
go out in the collective, when you are in the world, I'll give just a very quick example. If you are on the streets, your dharma is not to cross the red light.
Right.
If that dharma is not there, everybody will collide.
Yeah.
You see?
True.
Then second comes
True.
karma. Karma is action. The actions that you do, the choice of action that you make, and the consequences that may follow, right? And the third is karma. Karma is desire, the desire of having the pleasures of life. Food is karma. When you eat food, that's karma,
Yeah.
right?
It's a
when
pleasure.
you when you sleep, that's also karma. You're getting pleasure and ease out of sleep. When you have all the luxuries of life, that is karma, right? And the final one is moksha, liberation.
Liberation from
So the
everything.
four pillars of life. So in tantric practices, when you are doing a practice in the practices of tantra or the study of tantra, we take a sankalpa, we take an intention, we take some water, and we take some flowers and some rice in our hand, because flowers represent the space element, water is water, and the grains of rice, they represent the earth element. And we also light a lamp that represents the fire element, so you have
Fire.
all the
Yeah.
five elements together. So we witnessing, keeping the five elements as witness, we take a sankalpa that now I start the study of so and so tantra, of this form of tantra, this practice. I begin it and I'm willing to integrate it in my life with the intention that may I achieve and establish myself fully in each and every pillar of
Complete.
my life,
To be
which is dharma,
complete.
artha, kama,
Yeah.
moksha. Sorry,
Yeah.
the first is dharma, the second is not karma, the second is artha. Artha is money and resources.
Ah,
I'm
okay.
sorry, I went a little wrong. Artha is money, resources, food, all the resources that you have. If you don't have it, again, life becomes difficult. So,
Yes.
dharma, artha, kama. Kama is then all your desires and wishes, your dreams and aspirations. They make you
This
move.
this this kind of resonates to the chakras as well, doesn't it?
Of course,
You go from
they
the
are.
lower chakras
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
higher
yeah,
ones, and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's how the life force
Yeah, yeah,
travels through you
exactly,
as well.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I'll come to the chakras bit too, since you have raised that, and that's a very interesting point too. But in the that is this is the approach towards the study of tantra, the practice of tantra, that may we be whatever form of tantra we may be practicing, the branch of study and practice that we may be taking up in tantra. It could be the branch of Shiva in one of his forms, it could be of the Devi, the goddess, and one of her forms, uh, as I said, maybe of Vishnu or one of his forms. But The whole idea is that whatever form, the whatever path we take, may it bring us integration in all four pillars of life: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Moksha, finally, we liberate, we become free.
Yeah.
We become
Mm.
free. And for some people who are, let's say, spiritually elevated and have done that practice, remember we were talking about, in their lifetimes,
Mm-hmm.
they are born in this lifetime maybe with the goal of moksha. They have
Yeah.
crossed all the three levels of dharma, artha, and kama. They have already established and integrated those aspects of life. So now in this life they've uh, just come to go through the experience of achieve
Moksha.
moksha and make others also achieve that moksha.
Help them
These
out.
are very interesting nuances, by the way.
Yeah.
Very interesting nuances, and it can go very deep. But I'm just giving a basic understanding around the possibilities that can be there.
Yeah. I mean, um, you were talking about elements as well, which was very
Yeah.
interesting to me because in our ancient pagan traditions, we also a ritual always had the part where you had the five elements, right?
Yeah.
And that also got transferred into Christianity, and
Hmm.
they do it without
Hmm.
having
Yeah.
any understanding of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even Christian rituals start with there's a chalice
Yeah.
with wine. There's the incense. There are actually representations of all elements.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They just forgot why they're doing it,
Hmm. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's there. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
A lot of the old systems, um, they were a kind of tantra in their own sense, because the elements of nature were involved. The understanding of human physiology, the energy centers was there too. But
it's
it's just
common
that,
sense.
yeah, yeah. It's just that in what happened here in India, the Asian lands, or this part of the world, is that they even went way beyond in terms of bringing such diversity. They understood that each human has a different mind, and there are people who may have a similar tonality in their life, their understanding and approach towards life. Another set of people can have a completely different approach towards life. So for every kind of person, every group, there were different ways and streams of approach towards tantra.
Yeah, I also wanted to mention also, I realized that actually what happened in the Western world is because I think Tantra kind of got introduced to the Western world in let's say in the hippie times, what it was
Yeah,
60s, 70s, 80s,
yeah,
something like that, and it actually got integrated into our sexual liberation.
yeah, yeah.
So it wasn't integrated in our systems as a
Hmm.
system. It just
Yeah.
became part of the
Hmm.
system that we
Hmm.
had, and we just used it in a way. I think culturally, Westerners were looking for a way to prove that sexuality is not bad.
Hmm.
And we couldn't find too many examples in
Yeah.
the world
Yeah.
where
Hmm.
it was part of some kind of spiritual tradition.
Hmm.
So I think when people noticed that in India, they were like, "Oh, look, you know, we can bring back sexuality and integrate it in our
Hmm.
culture again because we did have this freedom back in Greek and Roman times. It was Christianity actually that made it dirty
Hmm.
and I see this still in constellations and in therapies where
Hmm.
we still struggle.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I think now the next step, definitely for our society here, is how to reintegrate it into spirituality.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so again, if you're looking at reintegration, already uh, there are good enough schools of thought that are teaching, academically teaching the scriptures, the various scriptures around various tantras. But again, it has to, and there are of course many institutes and many so-called teachers, tantra teachers, who just with 1 year or 6 years, 1 year or 2 years of certification, claim to be a Tantra practitioner and guide and mentor and teacher. But I'm sorry to break the bubble. It's not. It's not the way,
Mm.
because Tantra is a study, is a life encompassing study that takes years and years of study and understanding, and it is not limited to sexuality,
Yeah.
because it was a time and context in which it was used and looked upon to bring some sort of relief to some sort of understanding, because there was such an inner, people were so split up from inside, from sexuality and life itself, so much
Yeah.
of shame,
Yeah.
that they started looking and hooking upon Tantra as a means of an outlet. Maybe it was necessary, it was required for that time, but that has taken a very ginormous form today, which is extremely off putting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has been commercialized in a way, being presented in a way that Tantra is equal to sexuality, which is not.
No.
Tantra is way beyond sexuality. Practices are something which are a very minuscule part of it. And there
Mm.
are certain rituals which I will not speak about much, because I don't have the authority to speak about them. But there are just parts of there are just some rituals and practices which are but they have certain rules and guidelines to be followed.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You know, uh, that have been given in certain tantras, and only when an individual has attained a certain level of practice, then only they are
Obviously.
initiated, then only
Yeah.
they are initiated in those rituals. But and those rituals can happen only between a couple who is initiated, who has attained that level of maturity and energy and power. It doesn't happen in a promiscuous manner that you pick up anybody and you do it with anyone. No, there too, it's like you become like Shiva and Shakti.
Yeah. Divine couple.
You become that divine couple, but to imagine the kind of practice you need to manifest that level of intense power and energy. It's not child's play.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It's not gimmickry.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be very, very deep level of maturity, understanding, and practice to be able to do that. And even if that is necessary, not every couple has to go and do it. It's only meant for
Obviously.
a certain type of practitioners and certain type of people. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Because there are huge risks involved even in those practices.
Right.
If not done in the right way, or if done in very premature childish ways, it can turn your energy, turn you into crazy freaks.
Right.
And
Okay.
there are on ground cases which I have also heard and read about, people going crazy, losing all their sense of reality and control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You would need a
Because
strong mind.
because
Yeah.
that energy is so powerful, that they talk about the Kundalini Shakti, the Kundalini inside. It's so intense and powerful. If you don't have that capacity, if you haven't learned to handle it enough, that is why you need a guru or a teacher.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
will go crazy and you can fall severely sick.
There was actually examples here in the West where people had like spontaneous like kind of kundalini activations
Yeah,
where they
yeah,
went crazy.
yeah,
They
yeah,
literally ended up in an institution,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Because they didn't have proper guidance and
yeah.
their sense of reality just split open
Splits up.
and
Yes, yes.
yeah.
See, everything has its on and off.
Mm-hmm.
So, for that matter, even if you study, let's say, uh, science, it will have its on and off.
Mm.
And that's why you need a teacher who will teach you what are its limitations as well, so that you don't go crazy. Otherwise, if you don't know where to start, where to stop, there is going to definitely come a point of time where you will burn out, or you will just go kaput. You'll
Yeah.
go crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Similarly, even in the studies, in the study of Tantra, in the Tantric studies, as I said in the beginning, the approach needs to be corrected. The approach needs to be correct. And sadly, most people, with the commercialization of Tantra, the understanding is only fixated on sensuality and sexuality. And these are being, and of course, the approach of developing a course around it and all of it's not just a course.
Yeah, it's just about
It's not
selling
just
it
a
then.
course.
Yeah.
It's a practice of integrating life,
Yeah.
integrating life. So when you fixate on just one part of life, there is a huge risk to go crazy in other parts of your life.
I mean, also, when you think about it, us humans are at the moment so closed down in certain areas of our life. So even a tiny bit of openness and spiritual, experiences in those areas for us are like, wow.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to sell these things.
Yeah, and
And
because see, I will add here one thing again because the surge is so intense. It's an orgasmic surge. It's not just the that is why people tend to like attach it to so much of sexuality all the time because that surge, it's written in the scriptures, that surge of energy is so pleasurable from inside
I mean,
that
like
it's
when I do like Kundalini yoga, for example, because it's there are so many movements, and so
yeah,
I feel the same.
yeah,
That energy that I'm feeling, I can
yeah,
easily identify it with sexuality.
yeah, because
It,
it's
it's the same
because
energy.
yeah, it's the same energy.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the training, if you don't have the understanding enough of having the differentiation, of having the intelligence, the awareness, the wisdom to contain that energy, to understand the energy, the impact of it, you can misuse, you will land up losing that energy in many unhealthy outlets,
Yep.
and it will impose more risk to your health, to your well-being.
Yeah.
And that is why a lot of study care is needed. And as I said, that these the sexual aspect of tantra is a very minuscule aspect of it. It is not meant for anyone and everyone.
Mm, mm.
First and foremost,
What I
tantra is
do.
not going to negate it. Tantra never negates life. Tantra accepts everyone, everything, right?
Mm,
But there are certain demarcations, lines drawn. You need to understand. Again, Tantra also doesn't say that you should. There are no boundaries. That there is no understanding of what is healthy from unhealthy. It never says that. But people have made it, based it on their own limited experiences and understanding. Tantra means this. Tantra means that. Full liberation. But Tantra also means if you are not going to be careful, it is going to go make you go crazy.
yeah, true.
Tantra comes with a Tantra always comes with that okay, please don't
If
forget the warning. You know,
if you do accept the concept of energy, right,
yeah,
and then you start thinking about sexual energy as energy in its base, then you can see things. But
yeah,
if you have this crazy idea that sexual energy is just hormones and I don't know something, then you can't see it.
yeah, yeah,
That's the thing. And I see a lot of people here in the West just talking about physical stuff, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, it,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's where there is a severe gap of understanding and study.
I think it's a cultural gap as well because like probably you in India, like, because it's part of your culture to believe in spiritual things like energy or like chakras and everything. You can see a bigger picture. For us, it's like we just get little bits and pieces, and then we try to incorporate that into our
Hmm.
culture,
Yeah.
which is not even our culture, but anyways, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah. But I tell you, there are also people here, because at the end of the day, people are people. There are many
Yes.
advanced and very very sincere tantra students and practitioners in the West, and there are many insincere practitioners and not so good students of tantra here in India.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
not
But
I'm not generalizing. I'm not generalizing
now,
anyone and everyone.
in
I'm saying that
general,
Yeah, I'm
If
saying
you
that
do
there are
want
these
to, yeah,
possibilities too. Yeah.
yeah. In general, if you do want to understand the Eastern system as a Westerner, you have to put some research into it because it
Yeah.
does not come natural to you.
Yeah.
You will actually
I
have to
understand.
read about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, the approach is a very respectable. You have to approach it with respect, because if you any system, until and unless you don't honor the system, it's something like that we look into our family constellations as well. Until you do not reach the point of honor and respect, entangle you don't you are unable you will not be able to come out of those the entanglements, the repetitive issues that you keep falling into. The moment you start accepting and honoring the system for what it is, as it is, that's when your consciousness starts becoming refined, opening up.
Right.
And that's why you experience that healing shift in you and your life. And it's similar for the study of Tantra or any aspect of Tantra. It has to come with a very, very deep sense of honor and respect. If it is lacking, or if you're faking it, I'm sorry, it's not going to come. It will never come.
Yeah.
And you will never be able to establish yourself as a student or as a practitioner of Tantra. You will go on, keep on doing course after course. You may have numerous certifications from this Baba and that uncle and that lady and that all of that. But I'm sorry, you are miles and miles away from what real actual Tantra is and means. And by the way, people think that Tantra is only about, sometimes people also think that Tantra is only about, you know, uh, about only aspect of mantra. You have to chant certain mantras and sounds. No, Tantra is an amalgamation of very different aspects. There are different breathing practices, different even asanas. There are rituals, fire rituals that are part of Tantra, you know. And when you approach a deity, and that has to be done under certain guidance. There are certain rules and demarcations that
Yeah.
that when you have to when you do them, practice them, and when you follow them, it's only for your benefit.
Yeah.
Only your consciousness becomes more and more refined and more uplifted. You mature, and then you attain a certain level of uh, authority. These days people don't have any authority, but they are preaching tantra, teaching tantra without any authority. Where will the authority come from? The authority comes through a guru, through a respectable practice and study under a guru.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
by mugging up books after books, uh, that practice won't come. It won't reflect in you personally, and you won't know anyway how to navigate this intrinsic, this very nuanced map. It's a very, very nuanced path. If you cannot pick and choose. If you are picking and choosing, you say that, okay, I'll do this, I'll not do that. I'm sorry, you are just fooling yourself.
Yeah, that's I think the reality we're coming to at the moment, where people are like just so used to having everything easy, and they don't want to go through the difficulties,
Yeah.
and I was like watching a documentary recently about AI and how AI is gonna try to remove difficulties from human life, and I'm like, without difficulties, without struggle, without we can't grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't go and pick and mix.
Yeah. Completely. Totally.
No,
You can't
no.
do that.
You have to go and see where your struggles are, and see why are they there,
Yeah.
and how you can grow through them.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So
Yes.
picking just the nice bit or whatever you think is nice, because that's probably the thing that you shouldn't be even doing.
Yeah. So that's what it is. It has become about it, because it is, uh, you are trying to, because you find some gap in a certain part of your personality or life, especially the sexual part of your aspects of your life, You think that people want to use tantra as a route of escape,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
as a
Coping
means,
mechanism.
as a coping mechanism, as a means to the end. You know, um, when so again it comes back to the approach, because if your approach is like that, that's why you get those kind of teachers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, as they say, the kind of intention you have, that's what is going to come in your life.
Exactly.
So if your intention is not clear enough, your approach and intention is uh, jilted, that is the kind of teachers you will come across in life, who
Because
will
you're
give
an
you a very who will give you a very skewed understanding of tantra.
because you're
And
an energetical match to that person.
yes, it's an energetic match as well, because because ultimately that's what you asked for, that is what you're asking for, that is what you're looking for. You're not looking for a complete holistic development, you're looking for just a means to an end.
Yeah.
And let's break your bubble further. You are fooling yourself by doing that. I'm no I completely understand it's going to push a lot of buttons. I don't care. I
No,
don't care.
I absolutely agree with you.
Let it yeah, I
Um,
mean, let it push the buttons of people. It's happening even in India. People are going to these tantra classes in Goa and what not, where not, and then they're coming out completely poofed up. They don't know what's happened to their bodies, because see, these practices have a very neuropsychological impact on your body as well.
they're strong. They
Yeah,
are strong.
the
Yeah.
way your nervous system restructures, your hormones, they get conditioned, they
Mm-hmm.
function.
Mm-hmm.
That also gets impacted. That is why I'm repeating again, you need a well versed proper teacher
Mm-hmm.
who
Mm-hmm.
has studied and is studying it, who knows the possibilities or the risks involved, and all the potential opportunities involved in it.
Yeah.
And if not, if they are not, of course it's the teacher's responsibility. And if they are not themselves clear, if they are themselves, because they themselves have not studied that, they themselves are not trained it. So I don't think that these teachers can be tantra teachers, practitioners
Mm.
per se,
Mm.
or they have the right and authority to call themselves as tantra practitioners.
I mean, there is a lot of examples of this. I had
Yeah.
a friend attending ayahuasca ceremony, which is
Hmm.
also an incredibly dangerous and potent thing to
Hmm.
do.
Yeah.
And once she took it, she went into what would she was like, I was in hell.
Hmm.
I was in absolute hell,
Yeah.
and there was no one to help me.
Hmm. Hmm.
So she was like in hell for 4 hours
Hmm.
until this thing wore down. And the people, the practitioners that were there, were supposed to give her help, but they just let her be. They were just, you're alone. Just try to focus on good things, and it
That
will be
is,
okay.
that's what this is, why this is so, it can be so dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's why in tantra, as we were speaking, that there are different approaches. These using of such substances, or let's say, even for that matter, the element of sex is only and on it's very esoteric, first of all.
Yes.
Second, it's only for a limited set of people, right? Third, it needs a lot of practices and preparation to be able to reach that kind of practice, because it's clearly written in the tantric studies and
Yeah.
shastras of that branch, which are largely, those branches are called the branches of aghori systems.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you to a certain level of experience, uh, and it is only for those kinds of people who are in that practice, in that
Yeah.
path.
Yeah.
People who are not in that path, if they try to attempt it, it is for sure they're going to go crazy. They'll
Mm-hmm.
fall ill, and there is even a threat, they can even be a threat to their life, because the experience is so intense and difficult to handle.
Yeah.
So it's like
Um,
handling a 5-year-old kid. If you give him a knife, and that to a machete, it's he or she is going to kill himself or hurt somebody else. It's just like that. So one has to be very careful. Why not study other parts of Tantra? There are many other parts which do not involve those kind of intense practices. You
Because
can
it's
go
not
to,
fun.
I mean, but these parts are also fun. They bring
I'm
out
just
the joy
mocking.
in you, right? They bring out the joy in you. They bring such subliminal, peaceful experiences for you. They do not have that. That element of such high risk. Why not go to those practices? But
Yeah.
again, as I said, you have to go to an appropriate guru who gives you, teacher who gives you that initiation. And more so,
Um,
it has to come from, again, that respect. And there is a certain form of a deity in each path. You connect to that form of the deity. All the gods and goddesses are one. That is one. God is only one. Huh? We say in uh, in Sanskrit or in Hindi, the word for God is Parameshwar, the highest. Param Ishwar, the highest divinity. He or she or it is one. But there are many different manifestations and modes of that divine being. All these modes and manifestations take you to one. But then when you are in a certain practice, you stick to one, so that it takes you to that depth experience of it, and it helps you reach the ultimate goal. It's not that the if the form is different, then their potentialities will change,
yeah.
or the impact will change. They can, okay, if you go to a certain form of the goddess, she cannot give you money, she will not bless you with health. It's not like that. Every form can have every kind of blessing, every kind of ability, every kind of possibility that they can bring in you and for you in your life. But the understanding has to be there, and you cannot negate the study of the subject.
Yeah. Let me tell you my view of this now. Now it's going to be maybe a different way, different approach to it. But because I come from this body oriented integrative therapy, and we always talk about how all our traumas and everything that we experience, not just us but also our ancestors, these things get kind of written down in our bodies, and they come in as energetical blocks as well, not just body blocks but also energy blocks. And uh, and now I'm thinking, when you focus on sexuality as part of the tantra, right, and you have this pure primal force going through your body hitting all these blocks, of course you go crazy.
Yeah,
It's not a natural way to deal with this. So
yeah,
a more natural approach would be to deal with whatever you have first, right? Purify yourself of all these things.
yeah,
And then you can go
yeah,
to the sexual part of it.
yeah.
I mean, like, imagine you have all these sexual traumas as well, and then you give them energy,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
they go in your mind, and you
Yeah,
can, now you know them, but you didn't do the work to prepare yourself for that knowledge.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it will bring out all of that, hidden in your subconscious, that's
Yes.
suppressed, and you can go. It will go kaput. It
Yeah.
can throw you off balance.
Yeah.
So that's why in tantra there are steps even in the practice. So let's come to the practice a little bit. If you're practicing, if you're in the practice of a certain deity, because tantra practices involve different forms of different goddesses and gods, right? So first and foremost, in many practices, you are asked, the guru teaches the disciple to do a certain practices around Ganesha. You begin with Ganesha, because Ganesha's element and energy resides in the root chakra, the primal chakra. And Ganesha is what? What does he represent? He represents stability, composure, clarity. He has the elephant head. Elephant removes obstacles. That's why, until unless your own obstacles are not removed, how will you progress?
It's very grounded as well.
Yes, Ganesha removes those psychological subconscious blocks from within you. That is why you integrate the energy of Ganesha first. And then as you advance, you go to the second chakra, the Swadhisthana chakra, the chakra which is about the fire element, your inner child, your pleasure, creativity and procreativity. And that's where that's from where the elements of goddess will start. So they say it's the Ganesha is the son of the goddess. He is the son of the goddess. So the son prepares you to go towards the mother. And then the mother takes you to the to all these six chakras to with and makes you reach her husband, the father, which is Shiva, in the highest chakra. That is the Sahasrara. And in many scriptures, beautifully written how this energy, this kundalini, that it arises as it arises, it goes piercing through these chakras, it arises, it goes to the Sahasrara, and it makes you meet, it unites with Shiva. And then it descends down from there, Shiva and Shakti together. Now, because you have Shiva and Shakti together, then things will not go wrong.
Yeah.
Because there is a unison. And that's it is described as a very exhilarating experience.
Yeah.
It's like a very exhilarating divine juice, getting deeply secreted into the body. you know that is how the experience and the practice, but this is a very high level experience. It
Yeah.
comes with a lot of practice and lot of you understand your own doubts and fears and anxieties, they surface up.
Exactly.
Then you consult your guru. Until unless you don't have a guru and a sangha, a group that can hold you together,
Yeah.
hold space for you, how will you advance forward in your practice? And that is why you need study. That is why you need to be patient with this. That is why you need to have a right approach.
I
So it will
remember.
not deny, it doesn't deny the pleasures of life. Remember,
No.
Ganesha's imagery is also holding these sweet balls, laddus, we call them.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
there to, okay, enjoy, relish life to the fullest, but with discernment. He was also holding a gourd, an axe in his hand. The axe represents discernment. When will discernment come? When you are working, when you have worked enough on your own shadows, your own primal, unregulated instincts and emotions and fears.
Yeah.
So that is why you need your base and root very strong
Exactly.
for you
If
to
that doesn't
ascend.
work.
If it is not there, then you will fall halfway. That is the that is the very these are the very basic tenets and in a nutshell understanding about the study and practice of tantra.
Yeah.
And tantra is everything, a small puja involving the elements, lighting a lamp, all of these are mechanisms to create a certain energy connection with the nature, with the universal force. It doesn't have to be always something very esoteric and highly advanced, and those levels come much later. First you start with the basics,
You start from the base.
right? Yes.
Yeah.
Until you don't have these base practices and understanding in place, forget about going to all the higher level practices and all of that.
I
And
mean,
sometimes
even
it can take
even
years, by the way. It can
even
take
us in the
years for some
West, we
people.
have this as in heaven, as on earth as it is in heaven. So these two things need to
Yeah,
connect.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
We just falsely believe there's a devil and a god.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but that all makes perfect sense to me, even from my position, because I always felt like, even when I was studying psychology, I always felt like spiritual part is lacking, and thankfully I found a school that actually integrated spirituality into the practice as well, and now I can see fuller picture. I think one without the other,
Hmm.
thinking only about human mind, it's
Hmm.
not enough.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
We are so much more.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, indeed. We are so much more. Yes, so
Yeah.
much more.
Not just body, not just emotions, not just mind. We are so much more. Uh,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
often talk with my students about emotions and how they're like,
Hmm.
oh, we need to repress them so they're not in the
Hmm.
way. I'm like, no, master them.
Hmm.
Master your
Yeah.
emotions. So, you know,
So even in Tantra, there are, just for reference for people, like when people talk about sexuality, of course, there are certain representations of Shiva and Shakti, which show them in a very sexual union. But that doesn't mean you have become like Shiva and Shakti. Have you achieved that kind of state? Have you become Shiva
obviously.
yourself? You know, that's a very advanced state, and that iconography carries a different meaning, because here are two representations of the divine,
Yeah.
of that divine power that is through which everything manifests in the world, is the creation has emerged. Now they are shown in this way because our human mind can only relate with shapes and figures and forms.
Yeah.
It's easier.
Yeah.
So for the human mind to understand the highest philosophy, that the male and female principle are always in unison, inside and outside. That's why these
Inside.
iconographies are created
Yeah.
and their systems. And again, please understand, again, certain rituals and practices are only for a certain category and
Yeah.
specific set of people. Then not everybody has to do it, right?
Obviously.
So
It
it depends. It depends from individual to individual. But yes, uh, it has to be redirected. It's high time. uh, of course, I see a lot of people are becoming aware of it, and they have started to understand the impact of such practices, the relevance of such practices. But I think there's still a huge gap, because capitalistic forces have made it into something very ugly, and
true.
incessantly every day there are attempts to make it uglier. Yoga becomes goat, bear, dog yoga, whatnot. Tantra
I
becomes
know.
more and more sexualized, right?
I've seen it.
Uh, there is no respect to the deity, for the deity, and for the gurus and the masters from whom these branches of knowledge have emerged and are still continue to flow through, and have benefiting so many people.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that unless that element of respect and honor is not there, we will keep going down the gallows.
Yeah.
There will never be any kind of success. There will be only an illusion of success,
Yeah.
but there will not be true fulfillment and success.
You see, even the things you mentioned, like dog yoga and stuff like that, it's not in service of spiritual, you know, evolution or
Yeah.
spiritual work. It's in service of
Hmm.
just people getting a little bit of break from their normal life,
Hmm. Yeah.
which I kind of, you know, we should be building societies where we don't need to have breaks from our
Hmm.
normal life. And the
Yeah.
only way we can do that is by integrating different parts of ourselves
Yeah.
and doing that with the world as well.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyhow, I know you have to go.
Yeah.
And but this was lovely. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I actually learned
Me too.
quite a lot about
Yeah.
Tantra, and I have a better understanding of it now at the end of this podcast. And is there anything else you would like to add?
Uh, it's just that I would just leave with this thought and these comments that, uh, please approach Tantra with a sense of inquiry, respectful inquiry. Let's not make it as a means to an end. Let's not make it as a means to fulfill our fascinations and imaginations. It's not about that. Uh, it is way more than just gaining some spiritual abilities or, you know, feats.
Mm,
It's not a performance.
mm.
It's very unique, very personal, yet very beautiful. Let's become aware of the ugliness that some people are trying to bring around this, and be aware that we do not fall a trap into those uh, groups and such spaces. Because Tantra, the knowledge, the Vidya, that's a very beautiful word, Vidya. Knowledge is Vidya in Sanskrit. The Vidya of Tantra is for the upliftment of an individual and the society at large, because it welcomes everyone in its fold. But we need to respect, we need to approach and learn it with respect and with patience. We need
Yes.
to have patience.
Yeah.
Just by doing a course or by saying, oh, I chanted this mantra 30,000 times. No, you are not.
That's the.
You're not doing an obligation on the guru or on the deity.
Mm,
There is no obligation. Even if
mm.
you don't chant the mantra, the deities are doing their job. They are all in joy. You don't think that many people think that by doing, you know, if I approach these forms, and since I am doing a certain practice, I am initiated into the worship of Kali or Durga or Shiva or Bhairava. I am doing some great, you know, some kind of obligation to the devta, to this form of divine or god or goddess.
Mm.
No, there's no obligation. They're very much, god and goddess are very much free and in
Yeah.
their own bliss. So let's not have false assumptions and ego driven assumptions. Let's be more grounded and approach these systems with respect and relevance. Let's have relevant inquiries.
Mm.
Only then will we get valuable insights and valuable all round development and upliftment of our life. Right? And
Absolutely.
then that when we have that, then is when we will find the right teachers as well.
Thank you again so much for being here and having another chat with me. And hopefully we can do something else again at some point. But yeah, we've been sitting on this topic for a while now, and I'm so happy we ended up meeting and talking about this. So thank you so much. Namaste.